Did you know that some of the most awe-inspiring constructions in history are found within the Bible? Some were erected with unimaginable wealth, others mysteriously crumbled, and there are even those that science attempts to explain, but ultimately fall short. In this video, we will explore 5 of the most significant biblical constructions and the secrets they hold. The final one on the list is guaranteed to leave you speechless. Are you prepared for a journey through faith, history, and archaeology? Then let's embark. Have you ever stopped to imagine what it would be like to build a massive ship without the benefit of modern technology? No cranes, no electric saws, just wood, calloused hands, and an unwavering faith. This is precisely what Noah accomplished. And today, we will delve into this captivating mystery that spans millennia and continues to intrigue scientists, archaeologists, and people of faith alike. The Bible tells us that in an era of rampant corruption on earth, God chose one man for an impossible mission: to construct a colossal refuge to save his family and representatives of every animal species from a global flood. Now, picture the scene. Noah receives this divine command and begins to cut timber, create joinery, and fashion compartments. The labor was arduous, decades long, and faced with constant ridicule, intense heat, and the crushing weight of the responsibility to preserve God's creation. The ark was not merely a simple boat. Its dimensions were gigantic, approximately 135 meters in length, 22 meters in width, and 13 meters in height. To give you an idea, that's nearly the size of a modern cargo ship, and all of it made from gopher wood coated with bitumen to withstand the floodwaters. Now consider this. How did Noah manage to accomplish this feat without advanced tools? How did he organize the animals within the ark? And was there truly a flood capable of covering mountains? Is this story merely a myth? Or are there indications that something truly happened? Geologists and historians have uncovered evidence of a massive flood event in the Mesopotamian region. Studies suggest that thousands of years ago, a catastrophic event may have submerged large areas, giving rise to the tradition of a global flood. These findings suggest that the tale of Noah's Ark may have its roots in real historical events. Furthermore, the legend of a major flood is told in many ancient civilizations around the world. However, what is even more fascinating are the purported discoveries of the Ark itself. In 1959, a Turkish pilot, while flying over Mount Ararat, identified a formation that resembled the hull of a ship. Since then, numerous expeditions have attempted to confirm whether the remains of Noah's vessel are located there. Some of these missions have unearthed pieces of petrified wood, as well as geological structures consistent with a large boat. But is it truly Noah's Ark? Science continues to debate the matter, while faith remains unwavering. Imagine standing before a city surrounded by immense walls so thick that they could withstand any attack. Now, imagine the impossible. These walls collapse, not due to war, machines, but merely by the sound of trumpets and cries of faith. This is the story of Jericho, one of the oldest cities in the world, and the stage for one of the most impressive events in the Bible. But did this really happen? And what does science have to say about this incredible fall? The Bible describes Jericho as a fortified city with walls that seemed impenetrable to the Israelites, who had just emerged from the desert after 40 years of wandering. Conquering Jericho was a monumental challenge, but God had a plan. He commanded the army of Israel to march around the city for 6 days, once each day, in silence. On the 7th day, they were to circle the city 7 times, blow their trumpets, and shout. And then something incredible happened. The walls fell completely. Now stop and think. Is this possible? How could a simple march and the sound of trumpets bring down such sturdy walls? Throughout the 20th century, various archaeologists investigated Jericho and unearthed impressive ruins. One of the most shocking discoveries was made by British archaeologist Kathleen Kenyon, who excavated the area in the 1950s. She identified remains of massive walls and, most surprisingly, evidence of a sudden collapse. The walls appeared to have crumbled from the inside out rather than being toppled by an external attack. This aligns with the biblical account, where the walls were not brought down by battering rams or catapults, but by the power of God. Some scholars have attempted to find a natural explanation for this event. One theory suggests that an earthquake may have been responsible for the fall of the walls. Indeed, Jericho is situated on a geological fault line, and earthquakes were common in the region. Scientists argue that a strong earthquake at the right moment could have caused the walls to collapse. But here's the most intriguing detail. How could Joshua and the people of Israel predict exactly when an earthquake would occur? Furthermore, how could the earthquake have happened at the exact moment of the trumpet blasts and war cries? The level of coincidence seems incredibly unlikely. Some propose the trumpet sounds created some sort of resonance in the walls, but that can't be proven. And prepare yourself, because the next construction we will explore is even more mysterious and fascinating. Imagine a building so majestic that its walls were lined with pure gold, where the sunlight reflected a celestial glow. A sacred place built to house the presence of God. This was the Temple of Solomon, the grandest construction ever erected by Israel. But how was this architectural marvel built? What does archaeology reveal about its existence? And what is its true spiritual significance? Solomon, the wisest king of Israel, received a mission from his father David to build a house for God. The chosen location was Mount Moriah, the same place where Abraham nearly sacrificed his son Isaac. The construction was a colossal project. The stones used were hewn with precision and transported to the temple without the sound of hammers or tools, as ordered by God. Cedar of Lebanon, one of the most precious woods of the time, was brought in large quantities to adorn the interior. And most impressively, the entire interior was lined with pure gold. Carved cherubim, palm trees and flowers decorated the walls, while the Holy of Holies, the most sacred place, housed the Ark of the Covenant, a symbol of God's presence among the people. After 7 years of work, the temple was complete, but something even grander was yet to come. Solomon gathered all the people of Israel for an unforgettable ceremony. The king, before the altar, offered a prayer asking God to dwell in that place. And then something supernatural happened. A glorious cloud filled the temple, and fire from heaven descended upon the altar, consuming the sacrifices. It was a clear sign that God accepted that house as his sanctuary. The Israelites knelt in wonder. They stood before the living presence of God. And prepare yourself, because the next construction we will explore is even more impressive. Imagine a world where all of humanity speaks a single language, without barriers or borders, all united, in a single purpose, to build a tower so tall that it reaches the sky. But this ambition, instead of bringing people closer to God, aroused his wrath. And then something unbelievable happened. Communication between them was severed and construction stopped forever. But what really was the Tower of Babel? Did it actually exist? What does archaeology have to say about this story? And most importantly, what is the great lesson that this construction teaches us to this day? The Bible tells us that after the flood, the descendants of Noah began to spread and populate the earth. At a certain point, they decided to settle in the plain of Shinar, where Mesopotamia would be today. With innovative technology for the time, bricks baked in fire and bitumen as mortar, they began to build a tower that would reach the heavens. It was not merely an architectural work, but a symbol of pride and self-sufficiency. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered over the face of the whole earth, they said. Genesis 11:4. They sought to challenge God, but God intervened. Seeing human ambition, God made a radical decision to confuse the language of men so that they could no longer understand each other. Imagine the scene. A worker asks for a brick, but the colleague understands that he asked for water. The foreman gives orders, but no one understands him. From one moment to the next, chaos took over the construction site, and so the construction stopped. The people were forced to disperse throughout the world, forming different nations and cultures. This event marked the birth of the languages we speak today. But is this just a myth, or is there evidence of this tower? Many scholars believe that the Tower of Babel may have been inspired by a ziggurat, a type of temple in the form of a stepped pyramid that existed in Mesopotamia. The most famous of these is Etemenanke, a great temple in ancient Babylon dedicated to the god Marduk. Babylonian inscriptions refer to this place as the house that unites heaven and earth, a name that closely resembles the purpose of the Tower of Babel. Historical records indicate that Etemenanke was destroyed and rebuilt several times until it was abandoned. Could this be the original tower mentioned in the Bible? There is no definitive answer, but the similarity between the descriptions is striking. The ruins of large ziggurats exist to this day, and in the next chapter we will explore another biblical construction that defies logic and history. Imagine living in a time when your people were torn from their land, taken into exile, and saw the sacred temple reduced to rubble. Would it be the end of the connection with God? Not for the Jews. When they returned from captivity in Babylon, they brought with them a dream to rebuild the temple and restore their faith. The Second Temple of Jerusalem was not just a building, it was a symbol of rebirth, hope, and identity for an entire nation. But how was it built? What made it special? And why was it destroyed? After 70 years in exile in Babylon, the Jews finally received permission to return home. The Persian king, Cyrus the Great, ordered the reconstruction of the temple and even helped with resources for the work. But when they began to build, they realized a harsh reality. The new temple would not be like Solomon's. It was smaller, less luxurious, without the Ark of the Covenant, without the gleam of pure gold covering its walls. The elders who remembered the first temple wept with sadness, for this one seemed pale in comparison. It lacked the same grandeur and opulence, leaving many disheartened. But God sent a message through the prophet Haggai. The glory of this latter house shall be greater than the former. Haggai 2:9. What did this mean? How could a seemingly inferior temple be more glorious than Solomon's? This prophecy confused them. How could something with less features and resources be more valuable than the first? They trusted God and continued anyway. Centuries later, King Herod the Great decided to expand and beautify the Second Temple. He transformed it into one of the most impressive structures in the ancient world. He doubled the size of the temple. Mount created a gigantic system of columns and walkways and lined parts of the temple with gold and white marble. The result was a building that shone under the Jerusalem sun, leaving visitors amazed by its beauty. Herod was known for his large construction projects, and he devoted significant resources to improving the Second Temple. The expansion made the Temple Mount one of the largest religious complexes in the world. This temple became the heart of Judaism. It was there that Jesus taught, drove out the merchants, and announced that one day it would be destroyed. The temple was not only a place of worship, but also a center of Jewish life and commerce. Religious festivals and ceremonies drew large crowds to Jerusalem, and the temple played a crucial role in the city's economy, and that is exactly what happened. In 70 AD, the Romans besieged Jerusalem during the First Jewish Revolt. After months of fighting, they finally invaded the city and set fire to the temple. The Roman army was led by Titus, who later became emperor. The destruction of the temple was a major turning point in Jewish history, marking the end of the sacrificial system and the beginning of a long period of exile. Historical accounts say that the gold melted and dripped between the stones, leading the Roman soldiers to dismantle everything to get the precious metal. The fire spread quickly, consuming the wooden structures and causing widespread destruction. The temple was reduced to ruins, and the event had a profound impact on the Jewish people. To this day, all that remains is the Western Wall, a piece of the structure that still stands, reminding Jews of the greatness and the pain of the loss of the temple. The Western Wall has become a place of pilgrimage and prayer for Jews from around the world. It serves as a symbol of hope and resilience, reminding them of their connection to their ancient homeland. The temple was the place of God's presence, where sacrifices were offered and the people sought forgiveness and guidance. It was the center of Jewish spiritual life and a symbol of their covenant with God. But something changed. Jesus came and brought a revolutionary message: destroy this temple and I will raise it again in 3 days. John 2:19. Jesus was referring to his own body as the temple, symbolizing a new way of relating to God. His death and resurrection opened up a path for all people to have a direct relationship with God through faith in him. The Old Testament temple was a physical structure, but the New Testament emphasizes the spiritual temple of the human heart. To understand even more about the history of the Bible, watch the video about what life was like in Israel at that time. You will discover fascinating details about the culture, the daily life of the people, their clothing, food, and how faith shaped every aspect of society. Click on the video on the screen and embark on this journey through time. Discover how they lived, what they believed, and how their daily lives were intertwined with their faith. Explore the traditions and customs that shaped their society and gain a deeper appreciation for the historical context of the Bible. Imagine walking through the streets of ancient Jerusalem, seeing the bustling marketplaces, the religious ceremonies, and the people going about their daily lives. Picture the clothing they wore, the food they ate, and the homes they lived in. Understanding these details can bring the stories of the Bible to life in a new and meaningful way. The video will explore the social structures of ancient Israel, the roles of men and women, and the different social classes. It will also examine the economic activities that sustained the society, such as agriculture, trade, and crafts. Furthermore, the video will delve into the religious practices of the Israelites, including their worship in the temple, their observance of the Sabbath, and their celebration of religious festivals. You will learn about the significance of these practices and how they shaped the lives of the people. By understanding the culture and society of ancient Israel, you can gain a deeper appreciation for the challenges and opportunities faced by the people in the Bible. You can also better understand the context in which the biblical stories were written and interpreted. So, click on the video on the screen and embark on this fascinating journey through time. Discover the world of ancient Israel and gain a new perspective on the Bible. This exploration of biblical constructions and their associated stories provides valuable insights into the faith, history, and archaeology of the ancient world. From Noah's Ark to the Second Temple, these structures represent significant moments in biblical history and offer lessons that continue to resonate today. Whether you are a person of faith, a history enthusiast, or simply curious about the past, these biblical constructions offer a window into a fascinating and transformative era. So, continue your exploration, delve deeper into the stories, and discover the secrets that these ancient structures hold.